the human brain loves to compare and contrast, and comparing a previous sexual relationship with the sexual relationship that you're in now it's really important to kind of put those things aside, because no two bodies are alike. No two genitals are alike. Everybody's genitals are like fingerprints. So if you're hooking up with a new person, or you're in a relationship and you thought maybe the sex would improve over time when you got to know each other, and that's not happening, but your previous partner, it was always juicy and amazing. And why doesn't she like this? I used to do that move with my previous partner, and now this chick doesn't like it. And we've been together for 2 years. I just don't get it, because
they're different.
It's like starting over.
Surprise.
And that's also there's novelty in that. That can be exciting.
Howdy, everyone. It's your host, Polly Siegel. And for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm a licensed clinical social worker, certified addiction specialist, and master level trained mindfulness practitioner. I own a counseling practice in both Colorado and Illinois, and I specialize in trauma, OCD, and anxiety. If you live in either of those two states, feel free to reach out to me for a consultation, and we can begin the therapeutic journey together. Now on to the good shit. Welcome to season 3 of Shit Talkin' Shrinks. Gosh, I'm so excited. I will be featuring experts in the healing space, and we're discussing a variety of mental health topics, the human experience, and society at large, while creating levity along the way. Get ready to laugh, learn a lot, and change your life for good.
Hello, everyone. I am so excited to have 2 fabulous guests. So we have April and Amy, who run the Shameless Sex Podcast, which is unbelievable. So if you are needing a new podcast, highly recommend, 10 out of 10. And I'm just like pumped to have the best guests in season 3. And yeah, I want to do an introduction because you guys are very impressive, each in your own way. So Amy is a sex and relationship coach, as well as the co-owner of a mother-daughter owned online pleasure boutique called Pure Pleasure Shop.
Yeah.
And then April has been educating people about sexual pleasure, health, and wellness at a global scale since 2008. So we have best of the best today, hence why I chose you both. And introduce yourself, say hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
I'm April. I also co-own a sex toy company called Hot Octopuss too.
Yeah.
So, which is cool. So sex toys.
We used to call it the sex toy mogul, which is still true.
Yeah. Amy came up with that, and I was like, I feel uncomfortable saying that.
You're a sex toy mogul.
It's like, I feel like Jay-Z.
Yeah. But you kind of are.
The Jay-Z of sex toys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. She's the Jay-Z of sex toys. I also am a sex educator, and I also am the lead educator for a wonderful lubricant brand called Uber Lube. If you've never tried it, you must try it.
The best.
It's the best.
Okay, so today we're going to cover a lot of topics, but we want to get into how to spice up your sex life, whether you're in a partnered relationship or you're out there having fun and casual relationships. Doesn't matter what the context is, but spicing it up, making it more lively, filled with vitality, but also talking about how to incorporate sex toys, as well as just maybe exploring kink. We're not going to go super deep into that just because there's not enough time, but at least giving a little bit of a taste of it. So when you say spice up your sex life, like what does that really mean?
Well, it means creating newness. And that's one thing about in all the years I've been talking about sex toys and sex and relationships. And Amy, I know as well, like one of the questions we get on our podcast all the time is, how do I spice up my sex life? Because sex can get monotonous. It can get boring, whether you're partnered or you're single or with yourself, right? So trying new things is, I think, what I would consider spicing it up, thinking outside the box when you're comfortable with it. And if there's consent involved with both parties or all parties, that is a really huge piece. But keeping things spicy, steamy, hot,
Yeah, I like April hit the nail on the head with a newness, because I think it was, and like April said, it isn't just long-term relationship folks, but we get it more from long-term relationship folks. This question, in that, they whether in long-term to us is a year plus, so, and sometimes it's 10 years, sometimes it's 20, and sometimes they're married, sometimes they're not. But we see that a lot of people get into this groove of like, this is how we do
missionary style.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to do.
Or like, even if it's beyond that, like you still have a couple other little tools in the tool belt, toolkit. And yeah, there's still this thing that we're kind of cycling through. And while humans, like, habituation is a really good thing in relationships because it makes us feel safe and connected to our partner in a deeper way. But the thing about habituation, and we all naturally do this. It's just a human trait. But the thing about on the other side, the flip side, is that it can actually lead to less excitement and decreased desire, because there isn't this newness. So as humans, we crave safety and newness, and they don't really go hand in hand with what we're traditionally taught about sex and how sex and relationships should be. And so we have so many people that are like, okay, this is my dream. I'm married now. I've been together for 5 years. We have 2 kids. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I love my partner so much. The sex is boring. It's the same all the time. Why don't I want to have sex with my partner? I'm attracted to them. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, the attraction could still be there. Exactly. Yeah. But the obstacle and the desire can fade because you need all of those pieces.
Esther Perel.
Yes, that's from Esther. We love her.
Yeah, the equation: obstacle plus attraction equals desire. And the obstacle doesn't have to mean that everything's hard, like challenging,
right?
But more like that feeling of like, I got you and I'm so safe with you. Once that's there, then other tools can be implemented to keep that like newness and spark going, or continue to reignite it.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is when you say newness, as a therapist and running a clinical practice, I talk a lot about novelty. The brain loves novelty, and the amount of dopamine that's released with novelty, just from fMRI imaging, you can see a clear contrast. So I almost see this as spicing it up is creating novelty, which is allowing your neurotransmitters to reset and be more abundant, which makes it more yummy and juicy and delicious.
Yeah, chasing that dopamine, rush, which we love as humans.
And there's so many ways to do that. A lot of people think newness, like, oh, does that mean like non-monogamy, like having sex with other people? It can, and it also doesn't have to. You can create newness within a monogamous relationship as well.
There's so many ways. It's kind of like a Pandora's box that you can open up.
It's infinite.
Yes.
Mm. So if people are thinking, okay, I would like to try this whole newness, novelty, spiciness, what's a first step that would allow someone to enter into that sphere, that realm?
Okay, so what I would say, and Amy, I know will agree, is the sexual menu, right? Getting clear on your yeses, nos, and maybe with yourself and with your partner. And then from there, defining what you are a hard no to. Maybe you're a hard no to, I will never do group sex. I will never do, I'm like a no to threesomes, or maybe you're a maybe to threesomes and a hard no to deep anal fisting, and you're a yes to sex toys, kink. And then from there, you can see what's in alignment together. If you're in a partnership with one other person or multiple people, you never know. And that's a great way to start.
Yeah. And then you can put your list together. So you can do this together or separately. I think separately is a little bit better because we can get a little more clear on our own without having someone else help, I don't know, looking over our shoulders. We try to tap into like, what do I really want? What do I not want? And then we put them together, and obviously we'll put the yeses if they align. You have a great yes list. The maybes, if they align, you have a great maybe list. The no's obviously are hard no, but sometimes a no can become a maybe. Like if I have a no, but I see on April's list, like if I feel into it, I might be like, that might be a maybe to check out. And this is something that you can do in relationships like once a month, because we're always changing. Our interests are changing. We're learning about new things to add to our yes, no, and maybes. And then with experience, we have more no's, we have more yeses. And the great way to learn, some people will be like, well, how do I figure out what the options even are listening to podcasts like yours, like Shameless Sex, like our podcast, where you get all these ideas of things like Tantra and kink and sex toys and monogamy, non-monogamy, all these different things where you're like, okay, let me learn more about it to see what I want to add to that list. Or go to a sex shop and look at the toys too, and with your partner, and like, what would be a yes for you? And then you can add those things too.
And you could be exploring as something that you're a maybe to. And with your partner, and then you realize maybe midway through or when it starts, it just feels like I like a no, and that's okay. You don't have to. If that's where consent comes in, right? Yeah. It's always this buzzword of consent gets thrown around a lot, but it's so important in life, in sexuality, especially, and exploring sexuality. So if you feel like I'm a no to this, maybe midway through exploration, you wanted to try anal, it just isn't feeling good. Yeah. You can always come back and revisit. As Amy said, your body's always changing, your brain's changing. We're evolving every day, I like to think. Yeah. I like to hope. And so that's an important piece of this puzzle too, of the spicing things up, is to honor your no's.
And with that, I'd say just real quickly, it's okay to start a thing and then get a no and to stop it.
Yes.
Yeah, like, so if I, with like April's anal example, I'm like, okay, I'm a maybe to this. Okay, I'm trying. I'm no, I'm a no.
Or threesomes. People have that a lot. They're like, okay, I've always been curious about threesomes.
And then like 10 minutes in, like, nope.
The holy grail in sex. Yeah. And then people get in and they're like, I'm getting jealousy. This feels weird.
Press pause.
Yes, press pause. Be like, hey, everyone, I just want to press pause and I want to drink some tea and reflect on this because it got heavy for me. We can
change our minds at any time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's so important, that piece. And as you guys are talking and giving so much amazing information, what comes up for me too is that different partners might create different green lights. So nothing is set in stone. There might be someone maybe in a relationship with, I'm making these people up, Tom, anal just didn't quite feel right, but then you're now dating Alan and it's a green light. I think what's important to recognize is the curiosity and exploration isn't rigid. It's fluid and it's very intuitively experienced depending on who you're interacting with sexually or the group of people you're interacting with, if that's the case. And to know that there's no right, there's no wrong, there's no good, there's no bad. Like we can remove the moral tags from the experience and just be really curious throughout. And I love the idea of creating that list and saying, here's my green lights in this moment. But that doesn't mean it's going to stay that way as we flow through this. It could change mid-act, and then I have to say, let's pause, drink some tea, and reflect. And so I think it's like going in. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you said that. Yeah. I love that, because with different partners, you do feel different levels of safety, and even because it's a vulnerable place to be when you're naked or even fully clothed and hands and mouths are on each other's bodies. That could be a heavy thing sometimes if you don't fully trust your partner and you don't have that safety piece. And Amy spoke to safety earlier, and that is a huge piece to this spicing things up thing.
It's like a constant dance or a negotiation. Like the consent, yes, but like negotiation is a part of consent, and so that just continues on and on throughout being with different partners or even with that same partner.
Which is why this should be done outside of the bedroom.
Yeah,
that's so important. Yeah. Like, don't do it when you're hot and heavy, and then you're talking about, I'm a yes to this, I'm a no to this. Yeah, no, you have to get clear before you're in the bedroom. It's almost like having a meeting with yourself and then with your partner to share the things, and then scheduling, which people don't love that term when it comes to sex. It doesn't feel sexy, but scheduling to try out these yeses on these lists, and deciphering what you want to do beforehand and then taking it to the bedroom. That's such a big piece.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and to add to that, I think it's really cultivating a space when you come together with your list to really check your biases and your judgment. Part of these conversations can require a lot of courage, and they require a shit ton of vulnerability. And so I think that before even presenting the list to one another, saying like, how do we create a very non-judgmental, safe experience in this conversation where I can be transparent and maybe share some things that might be a little bit taboo, and know that you're going to hold me and it's not going to turn into this judgment fest. How do you navigate that? How do you broach the topic of, well, shit, I kind of want you to pee in my mouth? And okay, that was extreme.
I know. We love a good extreme. I value that. Yes. Yeah.
Like, I want you to pee on me, right? Which golden showers have a lot of stigma. How do you approach topics where you're like a little bit jazzed about something that you know could be met with judgment?
I think what you just said though about what April said out of the bedroom, and then also you said, how do we have like set the intention for the space? So, if I'm going to bring this up to April that I want to try golden showers with her, but I would still incorporate it with beyond that, like a whole list of all the things, which is really helpful, because then that means if she's a no to that, then we can find other things to do or try. If I'm a hard yes to that, like I really want to do this, and April's like a no, then that's a whole thing of like, okay, how do we figure out some in between? Like if it's really important to me, how do I get that experience in some other way, shape, or form? And again, it doesn't have to happen with another person. You can watch pornography where that's happening. I can have April like pour some hot water on me as if it's coming from her genitals, but it's not, or warm water. There's ways to do it. So
there's like dildos that even ejaculate that you can put water inside if you really want that feeling of
there's so many options.
Ejaculate. Yes. And Amy and I are not dating. Everyone listening.
We're not dating.
We're best friends, non-sexual life partners.
I just like to
never hooked up
as an example because we're both here.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like you said, but I think the conversation before the conversation. So it's the conversation before, hey, I want to try this thing, or let's do this yes, no, maybe thing, would be one where we're big on asking permission to have this conversation, like April said, outside of the bedroom. So don't just like say, hey, someone, I'm going to talk to you about this right now.
Or
like,
while you're in the moment, because that happens a lot. People, or after you're in the afterglow phase, and you feel
naked,
so comfortable.
We just had sex.
And then you're like, can we talk about this thing? Because then you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. Not that it's a failure, but it's like it could be and
triggering.
There could be hurt then that you're gonna have to work through. So by creating the space outside of the bedroom before, it's almost prepping, right?
Yeah, it could be like over a cup of coffee, going for a walk. Hey, there's something I've been thinking about that I listened to on a podcast, and I'd like to try with you. Are you open to this yes, no, maybe list? Or you said green light, yellow light, red light, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Where we kind of get clear on some things that are new and different that we'd both like to try. Some things we're a little open to trying, and some things that are hard no. And then we bring that together, and then we go in and discuss those. So it doesn't have to be like about the individual thing. I think when you make it this collective list of things, but you're still asking them. And I would ask them, like April said, outside the bedroom, when everyone's in good spirits too.
Yes.
Someone's not super angry, sad,
just finished
depressed,
a long work
stressful.
day. Yes. Or the kids are screaming and they're making dinner, whatever that looks like.
And when you have time, not like, okay, we have a 5-minute window, let's do this. Like let's make sure that we have a good half an hour to discuss this. It doesn't we have to make the whole list now. But you're asking permission for the conversation, and then you're creating spaciousness for it in the right context.
And also presenting it like as a want for yourself. If your partner perhaps is easily triggered, or there's some insecurities underlying, they think maybe something's wrong with them, they're not performing right, quote unquote, right in the bedroom. And so presenting it as, I've been listening to these podcasts. I'm so curious. I would love to learn more about your yeses. Do you want to do this with me? Instead of being like, yo, I'm unhappy. You suck in the bedroom. And
that's another extreme.
I really want to get,
I hope yes. That.
Just a nice soft balance.
Yeah. Well, it's what
totally
we say about sex toys.
Yes.
They're to enhance the experience. Right. So a lot of people are insecure about sex toys. Wait, you want to use a sex toy? Am I not good enough?
Right.
So the same thing goes with anything, even beyond sex toys, is, we have, I love you, or I really like you, or we have good sex, but I want to have fantastic, new, fresh, exciting sex with you. So it's a bonus. It's just to enhance our connection. It's not like there's a problem.
Yes.
Right. And I think the language and the presentation of that is so important, because someone can perceive it in a negative way, right? Humans have negativity bias. Our brains are always looking to find the negative or confirmation of something we believe about self. And so I think coming at it being like, I am so connected and love you so deeply, and I want this to be mind-blowing, versus coming at it as like, I'm really unhappy, and here are the deficits, and here are the flaws, and here are your shortcomings. Like that's never going to create safety or just a yummy environment to explore something new.
The human brain loves to compare and contrast, and comparing a previous sexual relationship with the sexual relationship that you're in now it's really important to kind of put those things aside, because no two bodies are alike. No two genitals are alike. Everybody's genitals are like fingerprints. So if you're hooking up with a new person, or you're in a relationship and you thought maybe the sex would improve over time when you got to know each other, and that's not happening, but your previous partner, it was always juicy and amazing. And why doesn't she like this? I used to do that move with my previous partner, and now this chick doesn't like it. And we've been together for 2 years. I just don't get it because
they're different.
It's like starting over.
Surprise.
And that's also there's novelty in that. That can be exciting, and it can help you improve your own game, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's like a fingerprint. None of us have the same fingerprint. And I think of that as our bodies and our sexual exploration, that each person is going to need a different pace, a different pressure, a different technique, a different flow. And that's neither good nor bad. It's just a fingerprint. I want to take a quick pause to talk about our sponsor, a company called BetterHelp. It's an online therapy platform where all the therapists are licensed and accredited professionals. It's affordable. You pay a low flat fee for therapy with your therapist, and it's convenient. Do it at your own time and at your own pace, and you can communicate with your therapist as much as you want and whenever you feel is needed. And more importantly, it's effective. Thousands of people have benefited from therapy using BetterHelp, and we're really grateful to offer all of our listeners 10% off your first month. So if you're interested in receiving therapy ASAP, click the link in our show notes and you can get started. And you get to save money. Okay, so I want to jump into sex toys because this is your bread and butter. Now, we might have listeners who are very experienced and have an entire collection of sex toys. We might have someone, or I would imagine hundreds of people that don't even have one. How do we navigate sex toys? I'm going to go big and generic, and then we can get more specified.
Well, there are probably
so many
millions and millions of sex toys. I will say, for anybody out there that's a newbie, and even the thought of sex toys, if you've ever been in a sex shop, I grew up in the Midwest, and the sex shops that I would drive by, I'd never actually went in one, were like truck stops with the XXX billboard outside. So I always had a negative view of sex toy stores for a long time. So I would say those stores still exist and there's a place for those. But sex toys and sex shops, online and physical shops, have come a long way. Now there's so much more sex positivity, and the sex toys, they're not just big, fleshy, veiny phalluses anymore that are,
I mean, they still exist.
They still exist.
There's more.
But now it's like sex tech is huge, and you can get beautiful sex toys that look like they're a designer piece of art that you are going to put on your body or in your body. And that's a cool thing. So there's a lot more comfortability, I believe, in the evolution of what sex toys have become. So please, if your brain did go to thinking about a dildo being, thracked around or like wobbling around.
Or all sex toys should be like a dildo that you put inside of you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
There are so many different categories as well, from external to internal, anal toys, plugs, penis toys, kink toys,
yeah.
strap-ons that
I
are
think
beautiful.
of when Pure Pleasure Shop that I own, my mom, purepleasureshop.com. Used to be a brick and mortar. And April, when we opened it, we were already friends before. She's one of my BFFs, but she was our first manager there when we opened the store. And so we all came up with this way of helping people come in and find the right toy.
I didn't even own a sex toy until Amy gave me my first one. I was like 24 years old.
You're working at the store and here's a vibrator.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was scared because of the sex. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but because of the sex shops I'd been in. When she told me she was going to open a physical store, I was like, ew.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's very sex positive. All the people that work there were essentially educators. So when someone would come into the store and they were new, and you don't have to go into a sex shop for this. This will apply to even not going into a sex shop. You can shop online for sex toys as well. But it's like, I want to buy a sex toy. So we're like, okay, well, what kind of toy are you looking for? Are you looking for a vibrator? You're looking for a dildo? Or like a kink item? Like, what are you looking for? And like, I think I want a vibrator. Okay, you want a vibrator. Do you want something internal, external, and say this is a vulva owner, internal, external, or something that does both, or you want like a couples play toy, like for you and a partner. And so from there, then we can figure it out. Okay, whatever they said, do you want something that is like strong vibrations? And we'd have the demo models out so they can feel it on their hands, but still like strong, medium, light. And when you buy things online, it will usually tell you like these this is the features of this toy. And then from there, I was like, okay, how do you want it to look? Or does it rechargeable matter to you? Battery operated matter to you? What about size?
Waterproof too.
Waterproof. And
right.
what about size? Especially if someone's new, I think bringing the big toy home, especially with a partner, they might be like, well, it's a big step. And so starting something with smaller or more compact, unless that's what you're looking for. Some people want a big thing inside of them. Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with that. But you just kind of figure out all the little features that are important to you. And like April said, some sex toys are really beautiful. Like the look of your sex toy matters too, because you want to be attracted to it, feel good about using it. Also, materials matter. The FDA does not regulate sex toys. They regulate lube now, but not sex toys. And so there's still a lot of sex toys in the market, not in a store like what we had, or any sex positive boutique or shop would not carry toxic toys. But a lot of stores still have toys that have toxic materials in them that can give vulvas rashes and do all kinds of weird things. And you'll know
that when you open up a product, if it has a chemical smell. This is sometimes why
if it has a smell at all.
Yes.
Yeah, any smell.
If it has a smell. And you can smell the chemicals sometimes of these products because they use softeners. They're like plastic softeners.
Plasticizers.
Yes. And they're really like the rubbers, the jellies. So the elastomer, there are a lot of toxic chemicals in sex toys because it isn't regulated, as Amy had mentioned.
So we're big on silicone, hard ABS plastic, stainless steel. Like these are all really safe materials.
Even glass. Some people are into glass products. So,
but silicone is so popular. So many silicone.
Silicone's awesome because it heats up to your body temperature, so it can feel really good inside of you. But if you want to play with the metal with Coldplay, you can Coldplay like the band.
Yeah.
You can you can put that in the freezer and
playing in the background while you're using it. Oh, it's so romantic.
It's also, I was just thinking that could be nice for aftercare if you want to put a cold phallus like on your bits, because mine sometimes swell up.
Ooh.
That would feel really good. I just thought about that right now.
Spice that up. Yeah.
That would feel good. Mm-hmm. So I want to, and again, this is subjective because this is your own personal preference. But if you had to recommend an external toy, an internal toy, and then the duo, external, internal, what's your favorite toys?
Okay, so first of all, there's so much more tech than when we worked at the shop, right? Because Amy's shop, she still has she no longer has a brick and mortar. It's only online. But when we started in 2008, there were vibrators and dildos, but now there's like air pulse technology. Amy loves that. I'll let you talk about that one. That's for external use. And then there's thrusters now that actually mimic the physical sensation of penetration. But if we're speaking to vibration right now, so I prefer external stimulation, as about 85%, 82% of vulva owning humans prefer or need external stimulation or clitoral stimulation to not only have more arousal, but also to reach orgasm, which is important because PIV sex, penis and vagina sex alone, a lot of times won't do it for some folks, me included. Now, it's not to say it will never happen, because it can. So I would say
it does, because you're adding sex toys or fingers.
Well,
to
exactly.
It.
Yeah. So my favorite of all for external vibes is a wand. So I love the Vim by Fun Factory, VIM, and it looks quite large, like a back massager, but it's quiet, rumbly. I also love the Magic Wand, which is an OG product that's been around since like the 70s. And it had like a woman on it with a unitard for a long time that they finally took off when it was the Hitachi Magic Wand. Now it's just Magic Wand. That is my go-to, but that can be too strong for some folks if they're just starting out. So I would also suggest something. So one other external toy, if you want a smaller, more compact toy, I would do, Hot Octopuss makes this product called the AMO, and it's just a bullet vibe that's made of silicone, and it's powerful, but it has a nice range as well. And those are great external vibrating toys. But Amy, tell them about the air pulse, because you love that.
I am a sucker for some air pulse. So I used to be a wand girl like April. That was how I would have most of my orgasms, from adding a sex toy to sex. And to sex either for my own like masturbation, or also playing with sex toy on my own in front of my partner, with a partner, to also incorporating that into sex as I'm having sex with them. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Pleasure is pleasure. So if someone shames you, like, why do you need the sex toy during this? Because it's pleasure and it feels good.
That sounds like a you problem, not a me problem.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing is like, you're like, well, why do you add in the sex toy? Aren't I enough? And it's like, well, the sex toy can't make out with me, cuddle me, tell me I'm beautiful, like go on long walks on the beach. It's not replacing you. It's just enhancing pleasure. Okay. So there's that. But so Air Pulse technology came out. The original brand was called Womanizer. They're German. Sorry, don't judge the name. But now there's Womanizer, Satisfier, all these different brands that make this. And it is something that you use externally. When we say externally, we're talking about on or around the clitoris and the labia as well, the inner and outer labia. And so I love this because when I use it, so it provides this light, almost like suctioning.
It sounds
feeling.
like this. Can I just demo it? When it's off the body, it sounds like.
When it's on the body, it's quieter. But so for me, so I don't put it usually directly on my clit. It's like to the left or right of it, which I actually invite a lot of people when you use sex toys, because if you go right for the clit, it can give you an orgasm real quick, but also you can get overstimulated. So I use it around the left or the right, and for me, it's that light suction while vibrating. I can have orgasm after orgasm after orgasm. It doesn't overstimulate me, yet it gets me to this place that I really want to go that feels really fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love it. And I still love a good wand too, like especially with the Vim, like April saying, because the Vim compared to the Magic Wand, well, the Magic Wand rechargeable has more speed
range,
options.
Yes, because there's a plug-in version that just is, low, which is high, and then extra high, and it plugs in, and it's like, I don't know, 120 volts, like straight to your genitals. But I still love it. And it's the first time I learned how to ejaculate. I didn't know my body was going to do that, was from using the plug-in Magic Wand.
A wand outside. So a lot of people think of ejaculation as being like stimulation on the G spot, but it's so powerful that I believe it's stimulating the whole like shaft of the whole urethral sponge. Yeah. And then squirting can happen.
Well, the first time I ever squirted was through the air suction womanizer.
Nice. So you know that one. Yes.
It's amazing.
And I had never done it before and didn't think it was possible, and always wanted that to happen, and felt, I don't know, in some ways kind of shameful that it couldn't happen, until the womanizer came into my life and I was like, fuck yes, it is possible.
Woohoo! Yeah.
So it's
victory.
It's so funny because that product for me, I like it and I enjoy it, but it's difficult for me to orgasm. And this is why we always give recommendations, but it's important to explore your body and your own body and what you like. And I'm not ruling it out as something that won't ever help me reach orgasm. I still have it on it that I can cycle through my toys and try new things, but it doesn't do it for me. If you want to use internal, external toys.
Oh, because one more thing with that, just the rule of threes. April and I have the rule of threes. If you try a toy and it doesn't work for you that one time, give it 2 other tries, because it might be more like context, how your body's feeling, hormones, and it actually might work out for you later, and it might not. So it's just, it's an exploration.
Right. Absolutely. Good call.
Oh, yeah. Internal toys. I think we have the same one.
Internal toys, it's called the Miss Bi.
Oh, you're going, this is duo first. We'll do the non-duo first.
The non-dual?
Curve.
Well, curve is good for G-spot stimulation.
Yes, internal without the...
Oh, because you asked for dual as well.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So, yes, there's always the same ones that we recommend because they're tried and true.
Because they're awesome.
And they're amazing. And Fun Factory, they're like a German manufacturer that makes really quality just products. They're incredible at what they do. And they've been around since the 90s. But Hot Octopuss came out with, I helped engineer this product. And it's an internal toy. I don't like internal toys typically. This one has this squidgy head. So it has like this soft tip. So and it has 2 motors that are, one is deep and rumbly. That's at where the vaginal opening will be. Then the other one is near that I call squidgy, but squishy, whatever you want to say.
I like both.
Squidgy, the treble, it's like a treble motor that's high pitched. So it gyrates that squishy head. So when you use it internally, and you can play with all the frequencies, because the way the motors are designed, they kind of mimic like this, like, I don't know. It's almost like it feels like penetration, and then it stimulates the G-spot to have this, like the arousal. You're getting like the tissue to get more of the juices flowing, and it's curved a little bit. So it's really easy to insert if your partner wants to play with you internally, or you're self-soothing, you can use, it's called the Curve with a K by Hot Octopuss. And it is actually probably one sex toy of the year. It's probably my favorite. And I have a lot of G-spot toys, but
it's awesome.
Because I didn't like internal stimulation, I'm proud of that toy.
We've had friends who are not in internal stimulation vibrators, and it's like their
and
go-to.
They love it.
And it's cool because it's it looks the shape of like just an internal vibrator. So no like dual thing, but it's dual because it has a second motor where most of the nerve endings are, which is the vaginal opening and around the clitoris too. So
the Curve it's such a beautiful toy, and it's quiet, and the motors, there's like 3,000 different ways that you can operate the motors. Like you can have the functionality change that many times, because you can use all treble, no bass, all bass, no treble. You can mix the treble and the bass.
You could use it with the vibrations off because you just want to use it as a wand on the G-spot.
Absolutely. You can use it externally. People tell me they do use it externally. So that's like another piece, but it gives you these soft delivery vibrations. So that would be my number one, and probably one of my only ones that I would
that was mine for just internal. And then we were talking about the dual, the April segment, the Miss B by Fun Factory.
I called it Miss Bi. I can't believe that. It looks like it is Miss B, but it looks
Miss B.I.
But it's B.I. And so I used to work for that company, and that toy,
it's my mom's favorite sex toy, by the way.
It is. I think I gave it to her. It has a handle on it as well, and there's only 3 buttons. And so you press the Fun to Play, and then it has the external clitoral stimulator. It looks like a beaver tail, so it's flat, and it's flexible, so it covers more space on the external portion of your vulva and your labia, inner and outer
clitoris,
and your clitoris.
Gets to that clit.
So, and then internally it has a little bit of curvature, so it's actually tapping into the G-spot as well. So, and it has like a wider, it's a beautiful toy. It's on purepleasureshop.com because it's one of our top picks. It has been for a long time.
We have a category there. It's if you go to purepleasureshop.com, you go to the category Shameless Sex Faves. All of these toys are on there. And if you use coupon code Shameless Sex, you get 15% off, just saying. But our job is to try sex toys all the time.
For us.
For the podcast and for, so these brands we work with.
Yeah, what a hard life. What a hard life.
Yes. And can I make one more suggestion to folks out there? If you're in a PIV relational situation, I love, and I have since I worked at Pure Pleasure when they had the store, I love vibrating cock rings personally because it gives you this hands-free ability to connect with your penis owning partner, and you can have a cock ring. The penis owner can wear the cock ring. It can vibrate, and then if you own a vagina and you ride that D, you can get the cock to feel like its own vibrator, and then you can grind on. My favorite is the Atom Plus. ATOM Plus, and it has 2 motors. So the penis owner is getting a perineum stimulation, because like a perineum pressure stimulation from it. They're getting their testicles to vibrate, and then the top portion of it has this like area that is perfect for grinding. I also helped design this toy, by the way. And
April's, I'm going to get
I have
orgasm
like 16.
on with this.
I have 16 vibrating cock rings in my collection, and none of them, I was like, these are all designed by dudes. Like there's no way any woman designed any of these toys, because they'd never reach my clit. They're like bunny ears, and I'd cut off the bunny ears, and then so
you
this
cut
one,
them off.
I would cut them off. I'd like MacGyver the cock rings that I had. So vibrating cock rings can be really great to spice up couples play. And then both people are getting involved in using the product, and it can be really fun.
Okay, so for all of our listeners, you just got a shitload of information, which I'm like, my brain is like, oh my God, there's so many toys to explore. Holy shit, I need to dive into this rabbit hole of toys. But I'm hoping that all of our listeners really got a good sense of bring your lists together, explore your yellow, red, green light, items, compare it with one another, whoever that is that you're engaging in sexual activity with, but also making sure that you really create a safe space that's shame-free, that allows people to feel that the vulnerability will be met with love and compassion. And if you want more information on sex toys, obviously you have April and Amy at your disposal, and their podcast, Shameless Sex, is incredible. I highly recommend it. It goes much more into the sphere than Shit Talking Shrinks does. And I'm just so happy that you joined me today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Paulina, we also have Shameless Sex, the book that is now available for pre-sale. You can go to shamelesssex.com and pre-order it. It will be out November 2023. And for anyone that purchases the book, pre-orders it before the release date, we have a really incredible free gift that is exactly about what we're talking about right here. And it's probably a $200 value. And it's about a 30-minute video, instructional video on how to spice things up and do this practice that we talked about today. Yeah.
And this lastly, because we didn't really say too much about kink, but I'll just say, instead of talking about products and things, I'll just say, I think a great way to learn if you're into kink is, like I said, to listen to podcast episodes about different kink topics to see what you're interested in. And within them, they'll talk about the toys. Within it will be like, sensation toys, or we're doing bondage, or and that just adds. And just the last thing I'll say about that too is once you figure out, I want to try this, it requires a deeper set of being really safe in terms of negotiation, communication, like safe words if we need, or safe movements so that we can let someone know if something's too much. So there's plenty of podcasts out there. We don't need to cover all that, but within them, especially on our show, the products are on there.
Beautiful. Well, and if you feel like this episode is helpful to you or could be helpful to a friend, a loved one, please send it and share it. And we appreciate so much reviews. So if you can go to Apple or Spotify and give us a review, both Shameless Sex Podcast as well as Shit Talking Shrinks, us podcasters always appreciate reviews. And we'll catch everyone later. Bye.